Excuse me, sir, is this the Delta House?
Sure. Come on in.
They have cold beer and action on the game.
I'm shocked to find that gambling is going on in here.
It's time for the Degenerates Next Door.
Dollar bills, y'all.
Quick question for you. Who's got two thumbs, a drinking problem, and went 2-0 last night? This guy right here. This guy right here. We hit the Degenerate special last night and also came through on that under with the Denver Nuggets game against Milwaukee. My name is Jason Hammer. Rob Kendall joining me in studio. Rob, how are you?
I'm great. Boy, it is such a great feeling, Hammer, when you hit two bets in a row. Like, you hit that first one, and you just got that cloud of doom hanging over there because you're like, well, if I lose the next one, I technically lose for the night because, juice is 10% most places. So anytime you get two of them right, you feel like you scored one on humanity.
Going to bed last night, I was walking like that Vince McMahon gif.
Mm-hmm.
Like, just strutting down to the ring. Mm-hmm. That was me going into the bed to underwhelm the coupon lady last night. All right, so let's get into some AI stuff. Can we do that?
Oh, boy, you're beefing with the AI now.
Well, I'm only beefing because Elon Musk got cocky. Now, listen, there's a lot of AI features that are out there, right? But when it comes to sports betting, Elon Musk was so proud of this Grok 3 rollout. Now, for those who don't know, on Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it, it's always Twitter to me.
It is Twitter.
This AI feature called Grok has had an update, Grok. And Grok 3 is supposed to be the most advanced. Here come the numbers, here comes the data AI that's out there. Now, you could upload a copy of your resume, and it gives you tips on ways to make it better. You could put in some sort of weird algorithm. It gives you the answer to it. It helps you code something if you have questions about that. But what got me, Rob, is that during the rollout, I think this was last Thursday, Elon Musk said, you could finally beat that Warren Buffett challenge in the NCAA tournament. Now, if you don't know what that is, Warren Buffett originally, I think Quicken Loans or somebody does it now, but they have this challenge. If you have a perfect bracket, we'll give you $1 billion.
Like, you get every game right.
Every single game.
Can you imagine going to the championship game if somehow you pulled that off, which the odds are obviously astronomical, which is why they offer you $1 billion. Can you imagine going to the national championship game and you got, obviously one winner, like I can't even.
$1 billion's on the line.
Can I cash out?
No, you cannot. The closest anybody's ever came, somebody had a perfect bracket through the Sweet 16.
What?
To the Sweet 16, not through it.
Okay, think about how hard it is. You got 32 games, right? The opening night, 32 games to get 32 games correct with all the upsets in the NCAA tournament?
Right. That's the closest anybody has ever gotten to the $1 billion.
What's the longest you've ever made it without losing a game in the tournament?
I went into day 2 once.
You made it through a whole 16? You got 16 right?
So keep in mind, I count day 1 as Thursday. I don't count the date and play-in
agree.
games.
No, I agree.
I had a perfect day 1.
Wow.
And day 2, I had my ass handed to me.
Water level, right?
Right.
That's amazing, though. You got 16 games right.
Yeah. So Elon Musk says, hey, with this new Grok 3 feature, sports bettors, maybe this is the thing you need to help you win that $1 billion challenge. So I thought, all right, fine. And I texted you when I was doing this.
Yep.
I didn't tell anybody else, but I texted you.
I was laughing at you the whole time because you appeared to put some sort of legitimacy into this.
Well, I said, all right, I'm going to put Elon's Grok to the test. So on Wednesday night, I found 10 college basketball games that all started 8 p.m. or later because I wanted to be able to be up and keep track. And so I wrote down the games. One by one, I went into this Grok AI feature and said, what do you think will be the final score of this game? What do you think the total will be of this game?
So you didn't ask him, like, what do you think of the spread? You just said, give me it, and then you bet according to what Grok said.
Now, for transparency, I did not actually bet these games. I'm just doing a little scientific study for the
Very
betting
good.
community.
That
here.
explains why you're not even more upset with this.
Correct.
I thought you were taking it very well.
No, like for instance, Indiana and Penn State. That was Indiana -6.
Yeah.
Okay, so I would go into this Grok AI. Grok, what do you think the final score will be of Indiana versus Penn State in college basketball tonight in Bloomington, Indiana?
Got it.
And it would come up with this number. I would compare that number to the spread and then, write down things accordingly. So, night number 1, 3, 5, and 1. Now, one of these games, it was the Indiana game that we decided to toss out because one of Indiana's best players had a bizarre illness like right before the game and didn't play.
Yeah.
So I thought, you know what? I'm actually just going to throw that one out. So that one didn't count. But 3, 5, and 1 got a push on St. John's and Butler. Okay, that's night 1.
Our Butler expert also got us a push on St. John's and Butler, too.
And we were lucky to get a push.
Yeah. It was
So-
looking bleak there at the end.
3, 5, and 1 on Wednesday. Okay, fine. Now, 2 of those wins were totals.
Oh.
Not even spread, totals,
Oh,
overs and
wow.
unders. So I thought, all right, I'm going to run this back the next night. So last night, Thursday, 10 college basketball games, all starting at 7:30 p.m. or later, and these were all totals. Every single one of these games was a total. 3 and 7, Rob.
Oh, wow. Worse. So what are your 6, 12, and 1?
Yes, with Elon Musk's Grok feature. Going into there and specifically asking, what do you think will be the final score of this game tonight being played at location? And it brings up a lot of data. Don't get me wrong. There's a lot of data that it brings up, but it also gives you its predicted outcome, and it sucks.
Okay, so you and I had this conversation years ago when sports betting first became legal in Indiana. And I asked you, I said, if your job was to bet on sports, like if your job, like that's all you did, because you're really into it, but let's face it, you got a wife, you got kids, you got your radio gig, you're not putting as much time as you would want to put into this. Like if your job was to bet on sports, and I had asked you, I said, like if I gave you, $10,000, I don't even remember this conversation. I kind of asked you what you thought you could return on it, and you thought, you could probably get, I think you say like, you thought maybe you could get 53 to 55% of your bets right if you lived in that world.
That's all that I did.
Yeah, but think about that. That's if you lived in it. You know a lot to begin with. You're an expert basically to begin with. And if you lived in it, the best I could do, if I'm lucky, would be 53 to 55%.
Right. And the thing that's important to point out, when you see these pro handicappers on social media, I'm hitting at 75%. What they're not telling you is either they bought a crap ton of points or they're just playing money lines or something.
Yeah.
This is an old casino trick. Again, for those who don't know, I used to work in a casino in the marketing department. And whenever you see a sign that says, our machines pay out the most, a slot machine in a casino, if you put in a $100 bill and it pays out a penny, they consider that a win.
Oh, they consider it a win.
Because you're not entitled to win anything.
Yeah.
So if you put in $100 and you get 1 penny back, they count that as a win. And that's the same to the casino in terms of statistics as you winning a jackpot. It's a win.
Yeah, and so my point in all this is we do this show for fun. We tell you, I'm not an expert. Hammer is about as into it as you can be, but you're not. It's not your profession. It's not your livelihood.
I'm not a professional.
You're
no.
right. And we tell you, have some fun with us, but bet responsibly. Don't bet money that you would be mad if you lost it, right? That's why the ads have the phone number to call on it, because so much of this is just freaking luck, because it's humans playing the sport.
Right.
You can predict all you want, and there's some stuff that might help you, and that's clear. There are some guys who earn a living at it, and they have figured out some little trick that helps them. But even those guys are losing 47 to 45% of the time. The guys who do it for a living. It's humans. It's so hard to be good at sports betting.
It is. It is. And that's why I like the guys that we have on our show, because they're transparent about it on this program. We hold them accountable. If they try to pull some weasel, buying a bunch of points crap, we call them out on it. We've done it on this show.
Yeah, whatever you do in your personal life is none of our business, but you ain't buying points on this show.
Right. 100%. So the one thing I've noticed about the Elon Musk Grok AI for sports betting it doesn't take into consideration the human element, right? So tonight, Denver Nuggets are on seemingly a forever road trip. It's night number 2 of a back-to-back, and they're at Detroit. The numbers that Grok is going to pull is just based on regular season numbers. It doesn't factor in back-to-back. Yep. It doesn't factor in load management or injury reports. It's what this team has done on the court this year, which is some great information. But in order to make a good bet, and this is how I won my bet last night, I know that Denver has been on the road since the Reagan administration, it feels like, and those legs are running out because that's a pretty old team.
And it's like, I think about, go back to that AFC Championship game. Think about how pissed I was that I lost $6, right? But how would AI or anybody anticipate that the ref was going to turn into a game of Frogger and run backwards and cost the Bills that first down? If they get that first down, the game's over and they probably win. Like, there's so much that can happen.
The punter running out of the end zone for the Kansas City Chiefs in that playoff game.
Yes, this is my point on all of this stuff. Like, missed field goal, made field goal. How many times did you get screwed because a guy missed a field goal? I mean, like, think what 50-50 shot, he makes it, and then you're win. Are you any better sports better because some college kid missed a kick versus made one? No, of course not.
All right, so going to take a little break here. Our professional, Kenny Britt of KB Sports, we're going to make him give us two free picks for you for games tonight. I've got action in the NBA. I've got a degenerate special on the way. Do not go anywhere. We are cooking with fire today. It's the Degenerates Next Door, brought to you by StatFactory.io. Back on the Degenerates Next Door, I'm Jason Hammer. Rob Kendall right across from me. Brought to you by StatFactory.io, your one-stop shop for all things sports statistics. And joining us now on the hotline, the big, hairy American winning machine, the man behind KB Sports, pro handicapper Kenny Britt. Kenny, how are you?
Hey, guys, I'm doing great. How about yourself?
Good. So I think a lot of people, with the absence of football in their lives now, Kenny, maybe even for the first time this season, are starting to look at the NBA. College basketball bettors have pretty much been there from day one. Guys like David Stefanoff, our other pro, all into college basketball, they never waver. But the NBA, with the ratings being down, All-Star game being a hot mess, I think for the first time, maybe in this gambling cycle, if you want to call it that, people are starting to bet the NBA. I made a few bets on the NBA last night. Won. I was in Vegas this past week, made some NBA bets, won a few of those. I think people are starting to rediscover betting on the NBA. Does that make sense?
It absolutely does. I mean, the name of the podcast is the Degenerates Next Door, and, degenerates need something to bet on every night. And with football gone, a lot of times in college basketball, like, say, Monday nights and Thursday nights, that is degenerate basketball. So,
some of us have made a good living on the degenerate special, my friend.
You do great on that. But the average bettor, they don't know a lot about those types of teams. So, to your point, they go to the NBA. And but boy, this is a tough time of the year for the NBA. The teams that are still in the playoff hunt, they're playing ball, but everybody else, they're going to start sitting people. They're going to start trying to see these, the young kids on their rosters, if they can, if they're worth, developing into next year and stuff.
Right.
So it's tough to bet on the NBA this time of the year.
Now, at the same time, and we're going to get an NBA bet from you here in just a moment, but could this also work into gamblers' favors? Because the teams that have no chance of making the playoffs, we're talking the Wizards, we're talking about some of these other teams, it doesn't matter that they've extended the playoffs in each league, right? It doesn't matter they've got this play-in tournament. Those teams are ass. They're not going anywhere. They're going to start resting the few guys that they have. They're trying to get more ping-pong balls in the Cooper Flag Derby here. Yeah. Knowing that, does that make it a little easier to fade those dudes down the stretch?
I think so. And do you think Cooper Flag is the number one pick no matter what?
No matter what, yeah. He's the dude. He's the number one pick.
Yeah, I saw something just a couple of days ago that the Sixers have a top 6 protected pick. And now that Embiid's done, I look for them to really start tanking. Because if they finish 7th or higher, then they got to get rid of their first-round draft pick.
Right.
So the Sixers are a team to really watch to start tanking. You know, Tyrese Maxey, Paul George, I think they're going to come up with some some of those, I'm using air quotes, injuries.
Right. It's almost time to restart the process in Philadelphia again.
Again, yes.
All right. So with that being said here, give us a play tonight. There are some interesting games on the docket tonight.
There are a couple really nice games tonight. I'm looking at the Celtics and Cavaliers. That's probably, we all love the Pacers, but in all reality, the Celtics Cavaliers is probably going to be the Eastern Conference Finals.
The Cavaliers remind me a lot, Kenny, of the Pacers a year ago in the fact that they've got a really good roster. They're pretty deep, right? Their bench is okay. I think Pacers have a little bit better of a bench. But, like, some of these dudes are really good. They're not household names. They just play good team basketball. But, unfortunately, the Celtics are also in the Eastern Conference. That's
right. I've watched Cleveland a few times this year. If they're not hitting their threes, they struggle. Boston, if Jaylen Brown is healthy tonight, I think Boston has something to prove tonight. So again, keep an eye out on Jaylen Brown, but all signs point to him playing tonight. If he plays tonight, the money line is only 130. Take the money line. Don't lay the 2.5. You know how that can go. Take the Boston Celtics minus 130. If Jaylen Brown's playing, I really like Boston, and I think they've got something to prove. There's still an outside chance they can get the 1 seed. They're 6 games out of it right now, behind Cleveland for the 1 seed. But there's still a small chance they can get that if they, and if they win tonight, that helps a lot. So I really like Boston tonight. I really do.
Okay. I'm going to pick a game coming up a little bit later on in the show. And it feels like Denver has been on this road trip for like 5 years. This has been a marathon of a road trip for Denver. Night 2 of a back-to-back against the Pistons. I'm going to have that play coming up in just a little bit. But quickly, before we let you go, college basketball. We can't let you go without picking a little college hoop here. What are we looking at?
The John Wooden Bowl is what I'm going to call it. UCLA and Purdue tonight. Purdue has really struggled. They've lost 4 straight offensively. They look out of sync. UCLA and Mick Cronin, they play hardcore defense.
You mean former future Indiana coach Mick?
Oh boy, I wouldn't mind that. I'm on the Chris Beard bandwagon. We got a group text and we talked about that a lot. I don't think Cronin would be the worst pick in the world, but I really like Chris Beard. I hope that's who we get.
Okay, before we go into the Purdue and UCLA pick here, again, put your personal feelings aside, because there are other coaches I would prefer as well. But if you were handicapping most likely to be the head coach at Indiana next year, would Beard be number 1? Would it be Cronin? Would it be somebody else?
I think with the Bobby Knight ties and the fact that Beard, not only has he got the Bobby Knight ties, but he's proven himself. I think handicapping wise, he would probably be number 1.
You don't think the administration's scared of the domestic situation?
No, not since Mississippi's hired him. I don't think so. He's proven himself, and she came back and said that nothing happened, right? Didn't that just kind of go by the wayside?
Right.
He never, yeah. So no, I don't think they would be scared by that at this point, since Mississippi's hired him and he's been successful there. With Dusty May obviously now out of the picture, I think it comes down to probably him and Mick Cronin. I'm sure there's some mid-major person they're looking at. There's always a hot, like Dusty May was. There's always this hot mid-major guy.
And that always works out so well for Indiana, like when they brought in Archie Miller.
Right. Tom Crean was mid-major. He was Marquette back then.
And Tom Crean, you know what? At least he had that team number 1 in America. Like the IU Hoosiers were the number 1 team in America. Now they crapped the bed in that tournament against Syracuse, but he had recruits. He had NBA dudes. They were the number 1 seed. It's been a little bit since Indiana's been atop of the polls in anything.
Let me get on my soapbox for just a second about Tom Crean. What he came into from the train wreck, nuclear wreck that Sampson produced. He did everything right. He was a great cheerleader and ambassador for IU basketball. He was a great recruiter. He worked tirelessly. He did everything right except in-game management, in-game coaching. He couldn't make it that Sweet 16 when Syracuse beat IU with Zeller and Oladipo and all those guys. He didn't make any changes at halftime. Syracuse's zones defense just annihilated IU. IU couldn't do anything with the ball. They couldn't move. They couldn't shoot. And that was the only thing that I had a problem with Tom Crean is I just don't think he could coach very well in a game. But he did everything right. He came into a mess. He got great players. He got the team to number one. But when it came down to it, I just don't think he was a very good coach. And in these days, now these universities all have general managers with this NIL shit.
Right.
It's crazy. He would be a great general manager at IU.
That makes
Great
sense.
general manager.
Yeah. All right, let's talk about their rivals, Purdue. You talked earlier; they are struggling right now. This is a rough patch for a Matt Painter coached squad. Don't normally see these types of stretches in the regular season. UCLA is the opponent tonight. What are we thinking?
I think it's going to be one of those every possession count type of games. Mick Cronin's teams always plays great defense. Purdue struggling offensively. I think, back at home they'll be a little better, but the total's 141. UCLA has trouble scoring sometimes. I like the under in that game. That's what I'm calling my John Wooden Bowl. Under 141 in that game tonight.
All right, so we are riding the Lightning with the Celtics on the money line and the under in Purdue and UCLA. Kenny, if anybody wants to become a client of yours and get the VIP plays, not only for basketball, but football, horse racing, it's almost Derby season, where can they go?
They go to KB Sports on Facebook. Guys, I'm crushing horse racing right now. The last 2 weeks, I've given out a pick 5 each weekend. One paid over $1,400, one paid over $2,600. It's all documented on my page. I had a client hit. The other clients didn't play the pick 5s. They were just playing the win bets. But it's all on KB Sports. I sell gold sheets for every Saturday and Sunday in horse racing. It's a great card this weekend out there. And all the way up until Derby Day, the first Saturday in May, there's some great horse racing going on. So you can find it all on KB Sports on Facebook.
Kenny Britt, KB Sports, my man. Have a great weekend.
All right. Thanks, Jason. You too.
All right. When we come back, I will have my play for that Denver-Detroit game tonight in the association. I've got a degenerate special for you in college basketball. One more segment to go. Come on back. We are the Degenerates Next Door, brought to you by StatFactory.io. Back on the Degenerates Next Door, brought to you by StatFactory.io. Sign up for that free preview right now. Get all the statistics, all the information you need to become a better at StatFactory.io. All right, we have got some plays for you, and that means we've got action tonight.
I want action tonight, satisfaction all night.
So again, the Denver Nuggets have been on the road for a long time. A long time. Another roadie tonight. Back-to-back. On the road at Detroit. Denver at Detroit. Detroit is a 2-point home favorite. Over under 237.5. That's an interesting total. Each of the Nuggets' last 4 road games have gone under the total points line. And again, it feels like the legs are starting to wear down a little bit on Denver. This has been a long road trip. And tonight, night number 2 of a back-to-back against a Pistons team that certainly not an offensive juggernaut by any means of the imagination, but it just feels like the Nuggets are ready to come home. Give me the under in this one. We're going to go back to the under on this one. 237.5. We're taking it down low. The under. That's the play for tonight in the NBA. Now, as for college basketball, our professional handicapper, Kenny Britt, gave you his thoughts on Purdue and UCLA. He is on the under in that one. But if you don't want to watch that game, if you want to watch a different game, I've got a play for you.
It's time for Hammer's Degenerate Special.
Oh, let's go to the Ivy League. Those smart, spoiled, entitled, rich kids of the Ivy League. Princeton, 5-point road favorite at Columbia. Over under 150.5. Princeton has won the last 11 head-to-head matchups against Columbia, and they've covered in 8 of them. Columbia just 1-10 in league play. They stink, but silver lining here for Columbia, a lot of those have been very close losses. So Columbia kind of hangs around, okay? So I'm seeing some home underdog resilience by Columbia. So when their campus isn't being hijacked by protesters and they're not losing basketball games to Princeton, they're hanging around, and that's all I need tonight. Give me Columbia. I'll take the 5 points. Home underdog resilience. We don't need them to win. We just need them to stick around. Give me Columbia +5 against Princeton, and that is your Degenerate Special. All right, that is it for us today. Have a great weekend, everybody. Send us your bets on the Twitter account. Look for Degenerates Next Door. It's a little cartoon picture of Rob and I. Just search for it. You'll find it. Let us know what plays you have. Share with the class. We work as a group to defeat the gambling gods here, okay? All right, for Rob Kendall, for pro handicapper Kenny Britt, I'm Jason Hammer. Good luck on all of your plays tonight, this weekend. We will be back on Tuesday for another Degenerates Next Door podcast. May the odds be ever in your favor, and we'll talk to you then.